خلق النبات, creation of vegetation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ إِلَىٰ طَعَامِهِ. So the man should consider his food. How well we poured water, then how nicely we split the earth, then we grew in it grain and grapes and greens and olive and date palms and gardens full of thick trees and fruits and fodder as a benefit for you and your cattle. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us to reflect on yet another miracle of creation without which we would cease to exist, such that because of his expertise in creating the functions of the rain cycle and the planned measured downpours as part of his finite calculations, the perfect amount of water just removed the right amount of the earth's crust, splitting it enough just to be able to absorb the water from the skies and cause it to become beautiful, fertile and productive, full of crop and vegetation, of benefit to all animals and especially to mankind. What was the need? Because he is their creator, nourisher, provider of all things, that he provides rizq to all the creations. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala further highlights how this all happens by making us reflect on a concept of science that was unknown to man 1400 years ago, of the pairing of flowers and shrubs, of anthers and pollen, of cross-pollination and self-pollination. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala highlights in Surah Ash-Shura, have they not looked at the earth, how many of the noble pairs of vegetation we have caused to grow in it? Surely in this there is a sign, but most of them are not believers. And Allah further says in Surah Yasin, pure from every fault is the one who has created all the pairs of whatever the earth grows, and of the humans themselves, and of that which they do not know. The Quran declared this phenomenon at a time when the scientists did not recognize that there are pairs in vegetations, a fact discovered by the science long after this declaration. Then the Quran says that there are pairs in other things also that are not known to the human being so far. This statement includes all new discoveries in which any object is proved to have pairs. And to facilitate this amongst the nabat, the vegetation, he ensured that where there is a medium, a liquid medium for the sperm to swim in humans, that the element of wind and air are active components in carrying the pollen from the male part of one plant to the corresponding female part in the other plant of the same species in cross-pollination and in self-pollination. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala devised the method of attracting the insects to the beautiful petals of plants, or their promise of nectar to the bees, and use their sticky legs and proboscis to transfer the male pollen of the plant from its anther to the female part through the lower depths of the same plant to ensure self-pollination and fertilization. All mediums, functions, systems and all planning is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Al-Musawwir, Al-Khaliq, Al-Razzaq, who through this process activates the dead land and takes man from the tangible visibility of regrowth to the intangible reality of resurrection. And he expresses his power to do all things. Allah says in Surah Al-Hajj, O mankind, if you are in doubt about resurrection, then recall that we created you from dust, then from a drop of semen, then from a clot, then from a piece of flesh, either shaped or unshaped, so that we manifest our power to you. We retain the wombs whatever we will to a specified time. Then we bring you out as babies. Then we nourish you so that you reach maturity. And among you there is one who dies, and among you there is one who is carried to the worst part of the age, so that he knows nothing even after having knowledge. And you see the dry land. Then once we send down water on it, it stirs and swells and puts forth every pleasant pair of vegetation. That is because Allah is the truth, and that he gives life to the dead, and that he is powerful to do everything. And that the hour of doom has to come, in which there is no doubt, and that Allah will raise again all those in the graves. His power is further summarized in Surah Fussilat with a further example of the reality of creation and of life, and the reality of him as the creator and the one with all power. Allah says in Surah Fussilat, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنَّكَ تَرَى الْأَرْضَ خَاشِعَةً, and among his signs is that you see the land inactive. Then once we send down water thereto, it gets excited and swells. Surely the one who has given life to it is the one who gives life to the dead. No doubt he has the power to do everything. And yet every seed that germinates and every flower and tree that bears fruit has been calculated and becomes a food for the appropriate species in the food web, all planned 50,000 years before the creation of Earth, and provide that Earth with enough potential and resource to generate, produce again and again, and provided each seed the DNA and ability to grow into a tree or a shrub or flower or produce fruits to create more seeds and more trees. Imagine a mango seed is planted. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in that seed all the genetics and nourishment required for it to grow. In fact, even before the water of rain activates it, it has a storage of energy to keep itself in a particular form and not shrivel up and disappear. And then it has all the genetic requirement engineered in it for each stalk, each branch, and each leaf that it'll form. And each fruit it bears will have yet another seed with that information and genetics to produce even more. Can you imagine the working in such a finite size of seed, as all has been provided to it by Allah that it intrinsically needs? And from outside, it is just the pure rainwater, the good soil components, and the radiant sun to flourish. Just as mankind's fitrah is programmed to accept the rain of wahi, the sunlight of the nur of guidance, and to place themselves amongst good company and positive elements that will let them grow and provide and bear good fruits is what is needed. And hence, seeds and more trees will grow and sadaqah jariyah for themselves. But who sees this? Only the one who reflects. Imagine the life of a farmer, of those that love gardening, how blessed they are to watch these little miracles become immense miracles right before their eyes if they have vision and they observe and they absorb correctly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Hud, there is no creature on earth whose sustenance is not undertaken by Allah. He knows its permanent and its temporary place. Everything is written in a clear book. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds man to show gratitude for all that he has blessed him with, yet man remains ungrateful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Baqarah, surely Allah is gracious to people, but most of them are not grateful. And often the ungrateful people are those lacking in the spiritual vision. They believe it's their own talent and their own self-doing. It's their God and their wealth, His provisions, His health, and His children have prospered. And then, because of this, he hoards it and he doesn't share it and he neglects the rights of others as if this all was his right alone. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds such people who have this greed in Surah Qalam, saying, let no man enter into it upon you today. And in early hours they rushed quickly while they were assuming themselves powerful to pluck the fruits and prevent the poor. But when they saw it, the place of the ruined garden, they said, we must have missed the way. Then once they realized that the garden is the same, but it has been destroyed, they said, no, but we are deprived of the fruits. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us that the coming of a ni'mat, of a blessing, can be an azmaish, can be a test. If it leads to takabbur, arrogance, attitude, lack of care of the have-nots, especially the poor of our families or neighbors, that we deny them the access to our field and fruits. And this ingratitude then can lead to the ni'mat, the blessing, being taken away or burnt to a cinder. So to preserve your blessings, Allah encourages us to share it with others, reach out to them, offer it to them as if they are doing you a favor to help you maintain it and keep it and continue to harvest from it, rather than you thinking you're doing them a favor or that you keep it all to yourself. No. So there's an encouragement to do sadaqah whilst you still can, before you leave or before it is removed from you. And to remember that all things that belong to Allah will return to Him. Your slice of cake was given to you for a reason, to let you enjoy from it, yes, but it's a test for you to see whether you return the gratitude by thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by fulfilling the huquq al-ibad as well. So huquq al-Allah and huquq al-ibad will go hand in hand with every ni'mat, with every blessing. Even with what you think is an azmaish, still get on your prayer mat, reaffirm your trust in Him, do your shukr of Him, knowing it's all for a reason and we all return to Him.